Welcome to Equal Access. I'm Theressa DuBois. Today's show is with the Mayor's Office of People with Disabilities. We are honored to have Commissioner Matthew Sapolin. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me, Theressa.
I hope you don't mind. I'm going to interpret when you speak so that our deaf audience will understand everything you're saying.
Absolutely.
You know, the Mayor's Office does some wonderful things for the disabled, and you make sure that the rights of those in New York City are protected. Would you please inform our audience just a little bit about what your responsibilities are?
Let me start by outlining the role of the office, Theressa. The Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities, which was established under an executive order in 1973, was established to serve as the liaison between the disabled community and the mayoralty, and to serve as the in-house advisor to the mayor and the mayoralty to assure that the rights of people with disabilities are included in the development of New York City's programs and services. And since 1973, the office has had a rich history in advancing and improving the lives of people with disabilities in our city in a variety of areas. And I'm happy to say, since October of 2002, I have had the pleasure of serving at the request of the mayor as the head of this office, and have tried to engage the community of people with disabilities, those organizations out there serving people with disabilities, in an effort to create partnerships to improve systems, ultimately increasing opportunities and improving the lives of New Yorkers with disabilities.
That is a lot of responsibility, I must say.
Well, it sure is, and it's been a pleasure trying to achieve goals on behalf of this constituency over the past 5 years.
Now, I have to tell our audience about your dog here. His name, again, is?
His name is Compass. He is a seeing eye dog. We graduated in 2000 from a guide dog school out in Smithtown, Long Island, and he is my second guide dog. And we've determined, depending on the definition, that Compass is currently the highest ranking dog in government.
The top dog.
The top dog.
You know, just recently we were at an event where we were trying to raise money for the Guide Dog Foundation on Long Island, because there's so many people that actually benefit by using dogs like Compass.
Absolutely. As you have probably noticed, particularly recently with the return of many wounded heroes from Afghanistan and Iraq, that many of the service animals that you now see in use are not only used for people who are blind, but are actually now being trained for many other functions, whether it be to assist people who may have lost limbs and require balance assistance through the use of a dog, whether it be the use of a service animal for people who are deaf or hard of hearing, to notify them of noises in the home or other things that they may not hear. And so the use of animals has really been an additional tool in the toolbox for people with disabilities to really maximize our independence.
And that is very important for folks to know. These organizations that train these guide dogs and service dogs really depend on private donations.
Absolutely. The tax dollar only goes so far, and so charitable entities in the United States have really made it possible for animals to be trained and given to individuals who need them, so that we can live our lives independently and hopefully contribute back to society as we hope to, as people with disabilities. And there have been a number of recent startup organizations who have really just focused on trying to help the veterans who have obtained disabilities, maximize their independence through the use of service animals.
Just recently myself, I had a situation that really forced me to confront situations that the disabled struggle with every day.
Sure.
My crew, we were out at a shoot on location, and we went out to a restaurant. I won't say where, but I went to the restroom, and it was down on the basement level. Well, as I started walking down these stairs, they were in very poor condition, and I fell. I took such a fall. By the time I got up, the blood was everywhere. It was awful. But it was clear that having only one bathroom in this public restaurant with it down those stairs, dangerous stairs, without a handicap accessible toilet at the end was really awful.
Yeah, this is, whether it's restaurants, whether it's other areas of commercial services and goods, we often hear about access issues for people with physical disabilities, primarily when it comes to access to things like bathrooms and entree into areas of commerce, such as restaurants, shopping districts, and local businesses that we all wish to patronize. And so for people with disabilities, we have tried to address those issues through our building code, Theressa, and where through our building code, when an individual is going to make modifications to their building or their environment, there should be mechanisms that will trigger changes that will require accessibility. So for example, in the situation that you speak of, if the building owner is going to modify that bathroom, it will have to meet the accessibility provisions of the New York City Building Code, which, by the way, are as strict as any in the United States.
That is good to know, because it really frightened me to realize that the elderly that I saw in the restaurant, and even the overweight, there was a gentleman that was coming in with a walker. I'm thinking to myself, how are they going to use the restroom in this restaurant? Because it was really dangerous. It really frightened me. So we're trying to discuss with the owner now to please set up a bathroom that complies with the Americans with Disabilities Act. And if he needs help, our Deaf Welcome Will Fix It crew can actually help.
And Theressa, I'll extend the services of my office in a technical capacity to anybody in the city of New York who's looking to explore ways to create solutions that will make their buildings more accessible to people with disabilities. As we all know, this society is aging. The baby boomers are now coming to a point where in the next several decades they will be experiencing some kind of disability. In life, we've learned, unfortunately, either we die young or we live long enough to have some diminishing functionality, which puts us all, as the wise Mayor David Dinkins once said, in the area of being dubbed as temporarily able-bodied. And so with that being said, going forward, we need to address these issues. We are going to be experiencing a society with low vision, with hearing loss, with diminishing mobility, and by taking approaches of proactive solutions and universal solutions, Theressa, which I know you're a fan of, we can really provide greater access for everybody. If we rewind the videotape to a conversation I'm sure you're familiar with back to the 70s, where the deaf and hard of hearing community fought nationally to have Congress require that communication industry provide a way for closed captioning to be available in televisions. And we think about the resistance that the deaf and hard of hearing community met in that. And then we go fast forward and we see the benefits of closed captioning. Closed captioning today helps our immigrant communities learn English more quickly, helps our children develop language skills before they reach nursery school because they're watching and listening, hearing the words, seeing the print on the TV. Closed captioning is a universal benefit. I remember in the city of New York, during some of the emergency experiences we've had over the past couple of years, in loud environments, trying to share information, not being able to hear the television, but those who could see were getting the information through the closed captioning. So universal solutions are solutions that we push in both design and programs.
You know, that is so important. I'm so glad you mentioned that, because we really need to, here at Equal Access, inform our viewers of how they can get involved, how they can help, and how your office is allowing them to benefit. Now, to that end, I must ask you, the mayor's office in New York, is that your sole focus, New York's disabled, or are other people able to benefit?
Well, you know, the charge of our office, as per the 1973 executive order, is to assure that the rights of people with disabilities are included in the development and services, development of programs and services that the city is involved in. Now, primarily, I find myself serving residents of New York City, but due to the nature of what New York City has to offer, we have visitors from all over the world. After all, New York City is the world's second home. So, Theressa, I do find myself serving citizens of the world who wish to come to our city. However, the overlying, arching policies that affect the day-to-day lives of New Yorkers is a great part of my job. So where we talk about housing or employment or transportation, of course, all of those will impact visitors. But the policies that the city puts forth that allows us to live, work, and enjoy the city are greatly aimed at the residents of the city.
Well, that is good to know. You know, you are really working for everyone's equal access. You're not just focused on those that actually live here.
Right.
Thank you for that.
Right. No, it's important. As I said, you know, we get correspondence from people who visit us from all over the world, who tell us about good experiences, who also tell us about obstacles that they faced when visiting our city. So it doesn't stop there. And while there are issues that are very New York City specific and are very specific to those people who live in the city, such as, let's talk about the educational system or the housing environment, yet there are issues that greatly affect individuals who want to visit our city, such as the rich opportunities that exist in our cultural institutions, our healthcare system, the mega transportation systems that are our airports, the wonderful athletic venues that are our baseball, football, basketball, and hockey teams. And so New York does bring a lot of people from outside. And Theressa, I've had a great time in trying to not only assure that the residents of New York City have equal opportunity to enjoy our rich city, but that the visitors to our city do as well.
Now, you have so many programs that I want our viewers to know. You run a mentoring program. We do. Don't you?
We do.
Would you mind explaining a little bit about that?
This is a great pride of ours. We were asked in 2003 by the leadership at the American Association of People with Disabilities to serve as the local coordinating body for the New York City Disability Mentoring Day project. Now, Disability Mentoring Day falls on the third Wednesday of every October, and its goal is to match job seekers with disabilities with mentors in the field of the job seeker's choice, with the focus, Theressa, on career exploration. We do not guarantee anybody a vocational placement or a job outcome, but rather the opportunity for that individual to demonstrate their value, their ability to produce and contribute in that industry, and hopefully to impress upon that mentor that they are a person who can make a significant difference in their bottom line, and to really demonstrate to that mentor that the employment of a person with disability has long since moved from a charitable consideration to a business consideration. And so through our mentoring program, over the past 3 years, we've placed nearly 600 job seekers in nearly 800 employment settings, and we have had some employment outcomes because of the quality of the job seeker and their ability to demonstrate what they can contribute to the market.
Now, I have to say, I was shocked one morning, early in the morning, I'm listening to the radio to a local comedian, Steve Harvey. I mean, I say local, but his show is all over the country. And I heard one of your mentees on the radio with Steve Harvey as like his co-host.
Right. You know, Theressa,
he was funny. He was really funny.
Vic is funny. People with disabilities, like everybody else, have dreams, have career aspirations, and many of us have the abilities to obtain those dreams and career aspirations. With that being said, on Mentoring Day, we will not hesitate to ask anybody to serve as a mentor to help a job seeker with disability attempt to fulfill a dream or a career aspiration. Now, we realize that there's only one Steve Harvey morning show, and he's on 5 days a week, and there are probably only other 5 DJs on that radio station. There are probably 300 people behind the scenes that make it possible for those on-air personalities to do their job. So while we matched Vic up with Steve Harvey, and Steve was a great mentor and continues to be to Vic, we made it very clear to Vic that he really needed to focus on all the areas of radio and television broadcasting for him to really have a good chance of positioning himself to get a job in that industry and hopefully one day obtain his dream of being the on-air personality.
Yeah, I think he really has the desire and the possibility. I was laughing. I said, like, who's the comedian on this show? It was really a good show. You know, you must set up, what did you say, that third Wednesday in October?
Yes.
You've got to send someone to Equal Access to work with us here for Sign Language TV.
We would love to, Theressa. I encourage you to log on to my website at www.nyc.gov/MOPD. And Theressa, you should fill out one of our mentor applications, which can be done online, and indicate that you wish to serve as a mentor. And believe me, we've got plenty of people who are interested in radio and television industries.
That'll be great. I will make sure I do my homework. I will log on and fill out the application, I promise.
Excellent. You know, one other message I want to send about our mentoring program is that we will place people at very high level mentoring positions and in any other position from the boardroom to the mailroom that they may be interested in, commensurate with their ability and commensurate with their readiness.
Now, how do you decide where to send people? Do they fill out an application and say what their desires are and you match their resume? How does that work?
That's correct. Online, again, on our website, mentees can download an application on which they will tell us a little bit about their history, their interests, their training. I believe our committee, we have a coordinating committee, is currently requesting resumes, though they're not required, because a lot of our network of mentors want resumes. So what a mentee can expect is to complete the application and then go through probably a 20 to 30-minute interview with one of our committee members to really narrow down what their interests are. If somebody tells us they want to be a teacher, we want to know more, Theressa, because do they want to be a nursery school teacher or a college professor? And we need to know that so that we could better match them up. And the way the matches work is once we know their interest, if we have a mentor within our existing network, we will do our best to pull those matches together. If we don't have an existing mentor within our network, we will go ahead and develop that relationship. So we expect a mentee to come to our program ready to make believers out of the employment world. And what I say that what I mean when I say that is that they need to be job ready, they need to be responsible, and they need to understand that they're going to get hired based on their qualifications and their ability to fit into the culture and the environment at a particular work site.
So no one's going to be hired just because they have a disability.
That's right. In our program, we are not fostering that message. We're fostering skills, we're promoting the message of abilities, and we're promoting the message of equal opportunity and equal responsibility and equal expectations.
That is a beautiful goal. The Deaf Welcome Foundation has just set up Deaf Welcome Mentors, and we would love to collaborate for those that communicate primarily in sign language to have the connection to businesses that have deaf mentors available. We're working to make that happen because many deaf are a little timid about going into a hearing business and maybe be the only one that's deaf or the only one that signs. But there are places that have many deaf available so that they could kind of fit in if they're kind of new to the workforce. And so Deaf Welcome wants to make sure that happens. In our mentoring program, we have had several deaf and hard of hearing mentees come into the program. We've provided sign language interpreters, and our partners have provided sign language interpreters. And the companies, or the not-for-profits, or the government agencies who have mentored these individuals have come back and reported tremendous, tremendous satisfaction in having that experience. And we've actually had organizations from there on have confidence to hire deaf or hard of hearing people, and have heard many success stories as a result of that. One of the good stories we've heard from our partners in Chicago, the mayor's office in Chicago, my counterpart out there, also spearheads a mentoring program. And they tell a story of placing a couple of deaf and hard of hearing individuals at the Lockheed Martin manufacturing plants in outer Chicago. And during the day, the workers learned that these deaf individuals could communicate with each other across a very loud manufacturing floor, where when they needed to communicate with each other, they had to power down all of the equipment, take off their ear protection, and then say to their partner, "Pass me a rivet." Well, what happened? Lockheed Martin realized that by teaching these individuals working in this manufacturing plant a few critical signs, they would no longer have to power down their equipment, take off their head ear protection, and could communicate with sign language about critical things they needed to do. So several of them went and learned sign language, and their productivity went up something like 10%. Again, cool.
Universal successes through things that were established for people with disabilities.
That is a wonderful example. Just having basic signs, I mean, it just makes sense in a loud environment. Sign language is beautiful and easy to learn.
One other thing we've done, and you'll hear this in many communities around the country, is after the tragedies of 9/11 and some of the other tragedies around the country in the 90s, individuals involved in emergency response have found it very valuable to learn something like 5 or 7 critical signs that allow them, again, to communicate with each other in loud areas, but really allow them to communicate with people who are deaf or hard of hearing in the case of an emergency evacuation or an evacuation in place or whatever it may be. So even working with emergency responders throughout the city and teaching them a few basic signs has given them a sense of comfort, knowing that at some point those signs are really going to help them save somebody's life.
Well, Commissioner Sapolin, we are so happy to have had you here at Equal Access. We must ask you, please come back again. There's more that I know you have to share, and there's more that we want to learn.
Well, Theressa, I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you today and to share some of this with your audience. We've really just touched the surface. There's so much more the City of New York is doing for all people with disabilities, and for those who are deaf and hard of hearing. Whether it be helping our emergency room staff access services like the Deaf Welcome Desk or other video relay services, or whether it be working with our police academy to assure that our cadets are trained on etiquette, and particularly in the area of police and law enforcement in how to communicate with people who are deaf or hard of hearing in the instance of an arrest or some other police interaction. There are many other things we're doing, and I appreciate the opportunity today to just touch on some of them, and I will take you up on the offer to come back.
Thank you so much. And thank you for watching Equal Access. And please be a blessing to someone today, because equal access is a right. It's not a privilege. Thank you for watching.